Can I ask you about Baahubali?
Yes, of course.
And I ask you this because of what you said, and I'm not making any sort of insinuations here.
Yeah.
But it is sort of this blockbuster epic success.
Yes.
And maybe you would have wanted more place in the arc light of that success than you got. Do you feel that?
That's what a lot of people think I feel, but actually I feel very validated from that film, Barkha. The reason being, that film actually got me into the minds of really young kids. Because a lot of really young kids watch Baahubali, they still think I'm the butterfly girl. You know, there's so many things about that film. See, some films you don't just need to hog center stage. I mean, I've done a lot of ensemble work in my career.
Yeah.
I mean, strangely enough, I don't know why that does happen. My first big success was an ensemble. Again, Baahubali happened to be one. I recently did a show, Ji Karda, which is also an ensemble. I'm very secure as an actor. I don't have this feeling. I know my skill and the impact I have on screen. I'll get 5 scenes. I will do it to that perfection that people will remember me.
But do the men have it easier?
The men have...
and do they get more money?
They definitely get a lot more money, which is, the pay parity is something that I have not been able to wrap my head around, because women also bring in so much. And that difference is stark at this point.
And why aren't more of you speaking up?
This is why I'm here. I mean, I'm here to talk about not just this, but so many other things. You know what happened, Barkha, when I was really young, I felt, मुझे बात करनी है जब मेरे पास experience हो. या तो मेरा काम बात करना चाहिए. My work should speak for itself. I never spoke when I was much younger. I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't, because I felt like I don't even have... Everything that's heard and said is different, but something that's experiential, that is different. And today I come from 18 years of experience. So I have gone through various projects.
You feel you've earned sort of this space where you can make this point.
Yeah, and I also feel like today it makes sense for me to share my experiences with people, because I've actually had those experiences. I'm not talking from a space of hearsay. So for me, when I say that, yes, even today, women need to, it is something where we are constantly fighting egos. For me, that is a battle even now. And I'll tell you, it's so strange, but I find this ego battle happening without disrespect. I mean, there is a hierarchy that exists. I try to, in my teams at least, try to deconstruct it as much as I can. But because the hierarchy is so strong, I see it in every... If just one person comes with a crazy attitude ki, ye mera dimag hai, but then you're in deep trouble.
Are these egos or male egos?
They are largely male egos. We cannot deny that. They are largely male egos, but I still feel like I've seen it with women also. So it's not just...
women can be misogynistic and men can be feminist. But generally speaking...
I've worked largely I've worked on sets where there used to only be 2 women. At least back in the day. Today it's changed so much. Like today on all the projects I'm working on, there's like even the Telugu films I'm working on, which is largely a male-centric industry. I'm doing a film with Chiranjeevi sir that's supposed to come out soon. We have all female ladies. So that's bringing in a fresher perspective, even in a commercial format. Yeah. So it's really necessary to have...
What's the toughest thing about being female in this industry? You've said 2 things that have stayed with me. One, the classic idea or the imposed idea of what is feminine, which thankfully is changing. 2, the pay parity issue, right? 3 is obviously the kind of roles that were on offer earlier. I think that's the one thing that's really
largely changed.
Yeah.
Largely changed.
What still has to change that really hasn't?
I think people don't still write women-led roles which feel like they can hold the film together. That is also part of writing only. It doesn't come through just by playing a great character. I think you need to find interesting, more commercially palatable ways. And I have been a commercial audience. I am actually a commercial audience. I love, like for me, my favorite film is Divergent in the recent past. Now that is Hollywood ka commercial cinema. It's not their arty. It's not their sensible or whatever that like.
It's not art house.
It's not that cinema. But I find it, I find there's a lot of power in commercial cinema if done right. And I feel like that right needs to come into women. Right now it's only that domain is only for men. That needs to happen to women. But people are scared to put the big bucks there because that it's an expensive art form. We need people to invest that kind of money. and
How
have
do
that
you
faith.
how do you stop yourself from being like a cookie cutter version of stardom? And I was particularly struck. I think you told Anupama Chopra that you actually needed to work on fashion because you
Yeah.
found at one point that everybody was kind of looking identical, right? And there is this sort of assembly line thing to fashion. Like
Yeah.
very few people, in particular, very few women want to be individuals,
Yeah.
right? You go with the trend, you go with the season.
Yeah.
It's counterintuitive to say that fashion is important to being individualistic in identity, but explain that to me.
I just think there has to be an innate sense of style. I
Huh.
think if you've survived for a long time in a visual medium
Huh.
like the movies are,
Huh.
I think you need to have that. Otherwise, I don't think people connect with. See, with us, it's always been about in the commercial mainstream
Yeah.
of cinema. It's always been a visual medium. Even today, it is. Why are we still stuck in that cookie cutter format? Is primarily because that is what is consumed the most. Because it's still aspirational, right? So, I just came to a point where I felt like, okay, I understand this is aspirational, but it has to be my perspective now. It can't be what everyone thinks of it as, acceptable or likable or,
Yeah.
or aspirational. So I've had to find my own aspirational. What is in my understanding aspirational to me?
I think you also have said that your entry point into cinema was fashion when you were
Yeah,
young.
as a kid. I mean, when you're 5 and 6, you look at Karishma Kapoor's clothes, you look at Madhuri Dixit's
Sarees.
makeup, sarees.
Yeah.
That's what you'll get into you'll get charmed by. But then as you get more into it, you realize there's so much more to it. But the beginning is there.